Here's the hard truth. If your goal is to lead your dream life, to live your dream life, you can't play it safe, sis. The people that you admire most, those people that inspire you to get up every morning and do the thing that's going to get you what you want out of life, they know the secret. They have it down pat. It's a healthy dose of self-awareness. Now, if you have been watching TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, all the things where people are talking about this personal curriculum, let me be the first to tell you that you aren't going to really be able to take advantage of that particular trend unless you are self-aware. How else are you going to know what curriculum, what you have interest in, so that you can build a curriculum in the first place? So let's talk about it today in this video. The leaders that inspire you, that you admire the most, they actually lean into the idea that they have to lead themselves first. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you my formula for personal mastery and aligned leadership. Let's go ahead and dive in. Before I get started with the definition, I want to explain I am in my car in between meetings, and this is one of those days where it is a done is better than perfect type of a day. But I was only able to achieve this because of this idea that I'm going to share with you about personal mastery and aligned leadership. So this formula is really coming in clutch right now for this particular day of content creation. All right, well, now that I've given you that little caveat, let's go ahead and dive into this content. And I want to start you off with the definition of personal mastery. If you've been around for any length of time, you know that I've been talking about this on some level for years. And finally, thank God, I am getting to a point where I am getting my words together that really makes sense to you, the audience that I'm really trying to talk to. Because girl, I know you are highly ambitious and you are a high performer and you are trying to do all the things and be all the things to all the people. And there is a disconnect and you're frustrated and you're stressed out and you're overwhelmed, but it's not because you haven't been successful. It's because it's time. You're at this point, you're in this era of becoming unstoppable and unapologetically you, and you need to know how to do that. So that's where this personal mastery comes in. That's where this aligned leadership comes in. So let me give you the definition. I have it right here. I want it to be consistent, so I wrote it down. Okay, personal mastery is being the authority of you. It is establishing alignment between your behavior and your outcomes. It's not enough to have information. We can read the books, do the workshops, go to all of the networking events, hear the speakers. But if we don't know how to align the information that we're receiving with who we are and the actions that we take to get to where we want to be, then that's where we're running into this friction, frustration, and overwhelm and fear, quite frankly. Ooh, I like that. Friction, frustration, and fear. All right, I'm gonna put that down somewhere. Let's save that, put a pin in that one. We'll come back to it. So what is personal leadership? It's having a vision for your life and the ability to regulate your actions in a way that help you achieve the idea you have for your life. It's guiding you in the direction that you want to go. Now, I have done this work and created a framework, and I talked about that framework last week in a video. So if you've not watched that video, it's an amazing tool that I've kind of figured out myself, actually, from personal use, personal experience. And now I am teaching others the benefit of this particular framework. It's called the Executive Alignment Framework. And I have created this framework. It's very, very helpful. It's 6 components. And I am walking you through that inside of a new workshop that I have. It's a mini course. It is called the Executive Alignment Framework Leadership Intensive. Perfect if you are someone like me who has done the things, is perfectly capable, but you need that alignment piece. Chef's kiss. Definitely you should check it out. This Executive Alignment Framework is a 5-day mini course, and it helps you answer this question: if you are intentionally building your life, or if you are living a life that someone built for you. And I think that when we're talking about personal mastery and aligned leadership, we have to ask ourselves this question, because it's very difficult for us to achieve these things if we are living a life that was built for us versus intentionally building our own life. But I think we get stuck with the fact that, you know, as children, we are poured into, we don't have any autonomy, we don't have any authority over our own lives. We have to do what we're we're told. And then as we become adolescents, we become a bit rebellious, but we still don't have that total control over ourselves. And by the time we get into our 20s and we do have that control, we are flailing. We have absolutely no idea. We're trying everything to figure out who we actually are. And it's not really until we get into our 30s that we begin to start to question and wonder if we are who we want to be and how we can become that person if we're not. And then if you are anywhere like me, a seasoned individual, you'll find that in your 40s and 50s when you start to answer these questions and actually go after the thing. So if you are not there yet, use this tool, use this executive alignment framework to help go ahead and get you started asking yourself these questions and answering these questions before you and then you'll be ahead of the game. All right. So now that we know the definition of personal mastery, we know the definition of personal leadership and aligned leadership, and we know that there is a tool out there that I'll be sharing more about with you later on, my executive alignment framework, but we know that there is that tool. Let's head down to some of the myths that we are, or you, because if you're like me, you're probably telling yourself about like why things aren't going the way you want them to go. One of the things that you might be telling yourself with respect to leadership is that it's about managing people. It's about controlling environments and being like the head of something. And that's not true. It's not necessarily about that. Leadership is really an idea of getting buy-in. It is getting the buy-in from people so that you can push the needle forward and not just, manage or hold something at a holding pattern like managers do. Leaders steer ships. They point the ship in directions and they get the ship to move in that direction. You might also be telling yourself that confidence has to happen before you take action. And the truth of the matter about that is confidence actually happens. The more you do, the more you experience, the more action you take, the more comfortable you become with the results that you're getting, and you know what you're capable of. And so therefore the confidence will come. So you have to do before you get the confidence. You have to act. You have to leap first, take the risk, and then see how well you do, how well you adjust, and that helps you come up with this confidence that you need. Another myth that you're telling yourself is that successful people are naturally disciplined. Well, that's not true. Watch any YouTube video and you'll see for yourself that a lot of leaders had to find their discipline as they did their work. They had to make those mistakes. They had to stumble and fall before they realized what it was that was going to work for them. But what I will say is, in all the research that I've done and all of the leaders that I've researched, there is a point in time where something finally clicks in their mind and they realize that they have to figure out what works best for them. So at some point or another, you are going to have to do the work to uncover the thing that's going to make you most successful at the thing that you want to do. You are going to have to figure out what makes you the best version of yourself so that you can consistently do those things to be that version of yourself that you want to be. Every successful person that I've researched had to come to that realization at some point or another. It is not always natural talent that gets them there, and discipline is not the thing, it's the consistency. And you're able to be consistent when you understand yourself well enough to know what you need to do and be your best. That is what allows you to maintain that level of consistency that sometimes looks like discipline. The next thing that people or you might be telling yourself about leadership is that emotions interfere with your ability to lead. Well, I think that emotions are necessary. You do have to be able to regulate yourself and manage your emotions, but empathy encompasses a ton of emotions that happen within that one little aspect of leadership. But self-regulation is what helps you with that. And that goes, you have to be self-aware to know how to regulate yourself. That's why these highly successful people are able to do it. They are self-aware. They've discovered the secret to their ability to be good leaders. It's personal mastery and aligned leadership. They can't align their leadership with who they are as a person unless they know who they are as a person. So emotions are involved in leadership, but we have to be able to regulate those emotions. The next lie or the myth that we might be telling ourselves is that self-awareness alone leads to change. That's not true. Self-awareness is just like with you, with your AAs and your NAs, your Narcotics Anonymous and all that. The first step is to acknowledge that there is a problem. Self-awareness is just what you do to acknowledge who you are and what you need. Once you've acknowledged it, it's that regulation piece. It's that personal operating system that we talk about that provides the consistency, the active movement of being that facilitates the change. Self-awareness is just that. It is being aware of who you are, what needs to be different, what needs to be adjusted in order for you to get the success or to have the level of consistency you need to obtain the success you're looking for. So self-awareness alone is not going to facilitate your change. Self-awareness is necessary, but you do have to have the action and the actual commitment to doing something different to get a different result in order for there to have the significant change. The other myth that we tell ourselves is that high performers should have it figured out already. You might be watching this video reluctant to do anything that I say because you're afraid people already think you're successful. They already think you have what it takes. They already think you've arrived, and you don't want to come across as if you don't know what you're doing, or that maybe all of those things were not true, right? High performers don't have it all together. And that's what makes them high performers, is the awareness that they have room to grow, that this is a journey. It is not a destination. High performers understand that, you'll never really have all of your ducks in a row. It's the mindset that you are going to be in a constant search of personal growth and development, because this world is ever changing and your skills are going to be, you're going to have to adjust your skill sets. You're going to have to adjust your mindset a multitude of times in order for you to get to the next level of where it is you want to be. You don't want to be stagnant. So we don't have it all figured out. We shouldn't have it all figured out. We just need to have a mindset of continued growth, continued learning. We talked about that in a previous video as well. And then the last thing that I think that I want to talk about today in terms of myths that we tell ourselves is that motivation drives performance. And that's not true. Because sometimes you just don't feel like it. You want to do it, but like they say, the heart is willing, but the flesh is weak type of thing. Being self-aware and knowing what it is that is going to motivate you to take action is important, because it's different for different people. And you have to discover what motivates you to take action. What is going to get you, what's going to inspire you to move forward, to push the needle forward, to do the things, to be consistent, those little minute things that have to happen over and over and over again. It's not always going to be one big giant leap because you were motivated to take it. Sometimes it's just a matter of getting on the horse. Sometimes it's just a matter of putting on the shoes. Sometimes it's just saying to yourself, 10 minutes of this activity, I don't want to do it. So motivation is not always going to be the thing. You're not always going to be motivated, but you're going to always have actions that need to be taken. So now that we've talked about the definitions of personal mastery and aligned leadership, and I've given you a few myths that you might be saying to yourself that have prevented you from achieving personal mastery or aligning yourself so that you can be a better leader, let's get into this framework right quick. And it's very simple. We've talked about it before. And the first step is to identify your strengths. We're not good at everything, but what we are good at, we need to identify those things, because that's going to help us discover how to use them in this whole idea of goals and aligning ourselves and having the success that we want. We've got to know where our strengths lie so that we can create this framework of these circumstances for optimal success that help us operate within our strengths. We also have to then understand where our limitations lie. Our limitations can really hinder our ability to get where we want to be. But if we know what they are, we can overcome them by hiring people to help us in that area, by setting ourselves up so that our strengths overtake the limitations, or the limitations aren't as prominent because we are able to operate within our strengths. We will be able to ask for help and know when it's time to ask for help, when we've reached our limit, so we don't waste time. That is the value of knowing what our limitations are. Also, with self-awareness and understanding who you are and what you need to do and be your best, it helps you further determine what it is you really, really want. We can go off on tangents trying to get things that we see other people have, trying to live the life that someone else is living, trying to obtain the things that other people have when it's not for us. It's not really going to make us happy. It's not going to make us happy. We'll get them, and then once we get them, we don't understand why we're not fulfilled. Well, it's because you've not become self-aware to identify what really is your desire. I often talk about unpacking your bag. If you think about your life and the baggage that you carry around with you, I just mentioned how at various stages of our life, we either have control over who we are and what we do, or we don't. Well, by the time you get to be your 30s or your 40s, whatever, you've got a bunch of baggage. And without doing that introspective work and becoming self-aware, you will operate under the passions and perspectives that are the result of influence and experience that was poured into you or that was given to you. So you have to unpack that bag and understand, where did some of this stuff come from that you're feeling? Was it stuff that was poured into you as a child and an adolescent when you had no control? Is it something that you learned as a young adult when you were just trying things out and you just never let it go? Or is it really something that is going to serve you, that you think is really going to help you get the thing that you want? Is it really yours? And if you've not done the work to unpack the bag and really determine what your true desire is for your life, then you're not going to be able to achieve it. You're going to do things the way you see other people doing it, and you're not going to operate in your own strengths and limitations, and you're not going to know what you want. That desire is not going to be there, and you're going to go around in circles and circles and circles and continue to feel like you're not getting anywhere. You're not achieving your goals. You're not fulfilled. So you have to know what your true desire is, not what was poured into you. And then lastly, without self-awareness, you will not know what your non-negotiables are. That's the last piece of this formula. Your non-negotiables are so important because that is what helps you set boundaries. That is what helps you set expectations and then manage them. That is what helps you teach people how to treat you and then hold them accountable for what they learn. Knowing what to do when distractions happen, or how to overcome those triggers, having a solution for those, or maybe even how to overcome those bad habits that sometimes form. This gives you confidence, not just confidence in yourself, but to take action versus being paralyzed with fear. So what I want you to do is I want you to take a moment to look in the link down below, in the description down below, for my link for the Executive Alignment Framework Leadership Intensive. I am going to be launching that very soon. So go ahead and add your name to that list to be notified when that comes out. And if this, depending on when this video comes out, it might even be up and ready for you to make the purchase. So go ahead and click on that, because I think that is going to in helping you identify what you need to achieve personal mastery and aligned leadership. The next thing, if you would, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. If anything resonated with you in this video, the slightest little thing, I know you're going to love it here. And you subscribing and hitting that notification bell to be notified when new videos drop will go a long way in helping me with my goal of growing and monetizing my channel. So please make sure you do that, and then engage with me here in the comment section. I will also have the Executive Alignment Framework Leadership Intensive in the first pinned comment, so you can grab that link there as well when you go and make a comment about how much you enjoyed this video or what your favorite part of the video actually was. All right, guys, that does it for me today. I am so thankful that I was able to record this video while I was out and about doing the things that I needed to do today. If you would, please subscribe and join me back here again next week. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, guys.